What could possibly go wrong when two skeptical podcasters try to summon a ghost? Join me, Sarah Marshall of You're Wrong About,
and me, Chelsey Weber-Smith of American Hysteria, for a historical, theatrical, ecstatic spectacular for the living and dead.
Hold hands with your favorite disembodied voices for a spiritualist séance featuring mystifying tricks,
campfire conversation, special guests,
and a dash of burlesque.
Plus, music from The Little Lies, the only Fleetwood Mac tribute band that may actually be ghosts.
Join us to release the phantoms of the past year and make room for the spirit of the new.
We promise that your mortal soul has never seen a podcast live show quite like this.
Unless it came last year. Then you've seen something like it. Chelsey, when will we hold our seances and where?
Well, Sarah, December 3rd and 4th in Portland, Oregon at the Aladdin Theater, December 11th in Seattle, Washington at the Moore Theater, January 11th in San Francisco, California at the Palace of Fine Arts Theater, and January 24th in Los Angeles, California at the Regent Theater.
Warning, may contain exorcisms.
Currently hydrating. This is the nerd section. Are we ready to learn? Okay. Well, it's perfect that Sarah brought up Victorian Christmas because seances, though they now conjure kind of a slumber party Ouija board, candles in the house when mom said no vibe, they actually originate in the Victorian era, right here in the good old US of A. You don't have to cheer. But thank you. Religious movement that accompanied them.
Right. And this question of like where did seances come from? Because it feels like they've been around forever. Like the idea of a medium feels like it's been around forever. I mean, we all understand that Patricia Arquette show really broke the mold, but where did it come from?
So spiritualism actually started in the 1840s and lasted until the 1920s. Don't worry, there won't be many more dates. So in 1848, the Fox family is living in Hyattsville, New York.
They're human beings with a surname Fox. I don't want to get
It's not as cute, but it's the truth. So Maggie and Kate are sisters, but they're not just any kind of sisters. They're teen and tween-age sisters.
They're capable of anything.
Capable of anything. And so one day, Kate and Maggie and their family are sitting around the house and they start to hear these raps and taps happening, kind of in different parts of the house, and it doesn't seem to be attached to anyone or anything, and no one really understands what's happening. So they continue to kind of explore this new phenomenon of a haunting because we didn't have this same idea about the spirit world and that ghosts might try to communicate with us.
Mm-hmm.
So, No.
The ghosts are early.
So they figure out a code while they're listening to these raps and taps.
How they figured it out is anyone's guess.
I think from some of my studies that it was a very boring process and that they would go through the alphabet and they'd say A, B, C, and they'd hear a rap, and they'd be like, okay, write down a C. And then they'd start over, A, you get it. And from there, they started to realize that they were potentially talking to what Maggie and Kate believed to be a man who had been murdered in the house.
Well, why would they have a ghost who died in a boring way?
No, why would they?
Why would they?
They are teenage girls. So they start kind of inviting more and more people over to the house, and the neighbors are coming over. The parents are asking their friends to come over, and it's growing into this phenomenon.
I feel like, girls, Netflix has not been invented yet. We need to ask questions about the murder, and we have 4 hours to wait for a ghost to spell something.
And so their older sister, kind of comes in as this influence. It's like, this seems like it could make us all a whole lot of money. So the girls move to Rochester with some family friends, and they start charging $1 per ticket to come to this new thing calling a séance.
Perfect.
$40 is the equivalent. Is there anything? What would you get for $40?
I mean, if I were to pay $40 to come to a show, I would hope to see a real ghost. That's all I'm saying.
Very true. So they started to conjure different people, and those people kind of moved away from an anonymous man murdered in the house to some celebrity ghosts.
I gotta up the ante, yeah.
My favorite of which was Ben Franklin. People love calling that bitch into their and people did start to notice that as they were breaking this Ben Franklin code conversation, that his grammar and wording did sound suspiciously like a Victorian teenage girl.
I mean, we don't know what he sounded like. He could have wanted to talk about boys.
Hey, that's a different kind of farmer's almanac. Thank you. So these seances were so successful that they went on tour.
Yeah, this is sounding familiar. Just two weirdos with a little dream, you know?
Just two teenage girls out in the world. So they traveled all over the United States. They even got over to London, and by 1850, there were more and more of these seances outside of the Fox sisters.
Because if you see this and you're, cynical, you can be like, I can do that, It's exciting either way, because if you believe, it's very enticing, and if you don't believe, you're like, I could make a lot of money.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And so instead of just rapping and tapping, the ghosts began to come through the medium in the way that you probably think of mediums today, where they would actually channel a spirit, speak like the spirit, move like the spirit. So it got more interesting than our alphabet code.
Right, and then which paved the way for, like the Long Island medium of today. One of the greatest. Bless her indeed. Where was it? Look, she is filling a lot of holes in terms of Long Island social services, let's be honest.
But not only were there more and more mediums, but more and more people in America started to believe in this idea that you could communicate with ghosts. And by the 1850s, 10% of Americans believed in some aspect of this new thing called spiritualism. And for two teenage girls, that's not bad at all.
And then they were like, could we vote? And they were like, no, absolutely not.
Don't be silly, oh my God. But in 1888, that's 40 years later, 40 years after the raps and taps began.
I mean, you're 11 years before the Newsboys strike, but
We're not talking about Newsies. hoax. None of it was ever real. And not only did they admit the hoax, they performed live and showed how the hoax worked. It was gross. They had learned how to crack their toes on demand, and they learned to crack their toes against the wood so that it reverberated and sounded like it was coming from different parts of the house.
Which is just a testament to like the kinds of hobbies kids had before they got It's not like, I mean, you know, they weren't necessarily splitting the atom all the time, but they figured out a lot of stuff.
10% of Americans. So,
how many religions have your children started, be honest?
My child, L. Ron Hubbard, did start. My baby boy. And another little cute part of this is that all of this really started not because they wanted to make money or be charlatans, but because they wanted to prank their mom.
And I mean, I assume that this is one of those things, I think we've all done this to some extent as kids, where like you tell a lie, you don't plan it out well, you have an overly credulous parent, and then suddenly it's gone too far and you're like, I guess we gotta let this thing keep rolling downhill. We started a religion, oh well.
40 years later. SpongeBob. So we use threads together here. So now let's kind of talk about what seances we're developing into.
Yeah, right, because we start off very simply, but I have to assume that like any other artistic form, things escalate.
Yes, absolutely, and they get a lot more fun too. So the medium, as we've mentioned, the person who channeled the ghost, was always the focal point, the host, the leader of the seance, because it seemed as if all the energy and spirit came through the medium. So pretty simple. You've probably seen this image before. People would sit around a table, they'd all put their hands on the table, and they would basically start to chant together, and they would start to lift the table, and that would set the kind of scene of what was going on. And then the darkness would set in, all right?
Because as we all know, in the dark, it's easy. It's, you know, we're all good critical thinkers when it's dark.
Yeah. Yes. You all look like very scary to me because I can't make out your features. Which is good for me. So yes, the darkness really helped the tricks come to life and helped them see things that maybe weren't even part of the seance and just added to the overall atmosphere.
I mean, as I told you recently, one of my favorite subreddits is the ghosts subreddit, where someone will take a video of what's clearly a piece of dust drifting in front of their ring camera and be like, is this anything?
Well, you know, that was actually me at one time in my life before I started a skeptical podcast. And now I believe in nothing. But I once believed in ghosts, and in fact, this is true, I job shadowed ghost hunters for my high school job shadow project. Yeah, my mom had to go with me because I wasn't 18.
Meanwhile, I did a high school research project on TriMet.
Okay, so
I don't know how we're going to come back from that bus reference yet.
So, the medium not only hosted the seance, but was also the object of ire from those that did not believe in what she was doing. Because yes, almost always, the medium was a woman.
Just like Macy's fan fiction authors.
Let's hear it for women. So, the medium had to kind of go to lengths to prove prove that the phenomena was really occurring. So the medium would enter something called the spirit cabinet. Okay.
And is it being in a dark room that makes the cabinet spiritual, or can it be just any old household cabinet, just for people who want to do this at home?
I believe it can be any cabinet.
Great.
Any cabinet you find lying around the side of a Portland street. So the spirit cabinet could be a cabinet, or it could be a curtain that was set up that the medium would go behind, or a room that the medium would be kind of locked into. And when I say locked, I do mean that they would tie the medium to a chair, maybe tie the medium to a bed.
The point is that it's not sexy.
No.
It's a very serious, psychical, religious, scientific endeavor. It is not sexy.
Don't make it sexy.
Don't make it sexy. It isn't sexy when you tie a medium to a bed.
She also might be chained to that bed. And maybe less sexy, sometimes they would nail her hair to the wall.
Presumably because of men's belief at the time that the hair was the most sensitive organ on the body.
Oh, Sarah. Another thing they would do is take a string and kind of put it through the pierced ear hole of the medium and tie that to a weight somewhere else in the seance room. Yeah. Horrible. Just off.
It creates an inevitable mental image that I don't like.
So the whole point of that, obviously, was to allow things to happen, and the medium wasn't present. So
I'm not in the room. I can't be affecting anything.
And so sometimes a ghost would actually emerge, right? So someone would be painted up all shimmery and silvery and would move among the people in the
Using
seance.
something non-toxic, I'm sure, to create that illusion.
We don't want a Wizard of Oz repeat, our dear Tin Man. Thanks for that. So as this medium is moving around, what's really happening, as the ghost is moving around, what is actually happening is, it's the medium. Because a lot of times mediums were basically trained as magicians, because there was so much crossover between spiritualism, seances, and magicians. They would sometimes use trapdoors, and they would use sliding panels. These seances were usually occurring at the medium's house, so they knew the landscape very well. They would have an assistant. Sometimes the assistant would be dressed up, but a lot of times, really, the medium would just know how to get out of what was probably very poorly tied ropes and poorly nailed hair.
None of that well-nailed hair, yeah. I like the idea of being like, okay, I'm all tied up, I can't do anything. I mean, it is my house that I put trapdoors in, but yeah, you're in charge.
Yep. Sometimes there would be this thing called a spirit trumpet that might hover around, and what that was is the idea was that the spirits talked so quietly they needed an amplification device. And
Spirits are very shy.
Very shy. It's kind of like a listening horn, and you would be able to then hear the magical, mystical whispers. But what was really happening is there was a hose attached that ran down under the carpet into the spirit cabinet. The medium spoke that way.
Which honestly, if you put that much effort into it, then that's impressive as well. I mean, whether it's a ghost or somebody who did a lot of DIY stuff,
Sometimes they just used balloons that would float around, and they painted little faces on them.
We've got balloons, Georgie.
Oh, I love it so much. Sometimes they'd use fishing line and just float stuff around. I like this image that I found of a glove. They would float a glove around, and then it would kind of fall on somebody's shoulder, not unlike that scene with Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park. His disembodied arm falls on Laura Dern's shoulder.
Which was, I think, the scariest thing I had ever seen until I was about 10 years old. Yeah.
Very, very sorry.
And I remember we were talking about this earlier, and you described it as a very fake-looking hand, and I was like, yeah, I guess so. It always felt pretty real to me.
Maybe go watch it again.
Look, in all my severed hand experience, I mean.
So one of the grossest part of any seance was when they brought out the ectoplasm. Right?
This crowd loves ectoplasm. I mean, you gotta have moisture.
Yeah. Ectoplasm, in the context of our seances, was a mysterious goo slime, basically white
Mysterious
color.
slime, you gotta love
Mysterious
it.
slime. And it would, during the seance, drip from the mouth of the medium, maybe the ear of the medium, and actually, in fact, any orifice of the medium. This is true.
Chelsey, when you say any orifice, do you mean any orifice?
I do.
Okay.
I mean any orifice. Do I have to say orifice again? Orifice. So the idea was that this ectoplasm was a substance of this world that the spirit draped upon itself to make itself seen.
That's nice of them.
Yeah, really, really helpful. Sometimes it would resemble like a hand dripping out of a mouth, which was very easily, created by a white glove that is being kind of spit out. Sometimes it would pool out into this mass, and within the mass would be a face of the famous person that they had been trying to conjure. Okay?
Which is incredible. Like, what? I just want teenagers to do that. Like, I want them to use videos where it's like, we've conjured the ghost of Joe Jonas. That's the most recent reference I know.
Well, what they were really doing is cutting faces out of magazines and kind of pasting it into the glob. And it looked really cool. It looked very cool. Sometimes it would actually be an entire puppet that would come from the medium. You'd see this kind of long, weird string come out, and then kind of like a Land of Make-Believe looking puppet, but much bigger. You know, Lady Elaine looked a little bit like that.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was afraid of Lady Elaine because I thought she looked like my grandma. It was also scary.
A really very fun ectoplasm that I read about was this one medium would create this spirit baby. She would stuff a doll. She would hide that doll under her long Victorian skirts.
This is sounding a little Michelle Remembers coded.
It is. It really, really is. It will be more so in a moment. And she'd attach a stick to it, and operating it with her foot, she would cause this little spirit baby in the middle of a seance to just peek over the edge of the table. Yeah. So in reality, ectoplasm was nothing more than cheesecloth that was regurgitated. Yeah. And sometimes they'd mix in some muslin and some animal organs and entrails to get that viscosity that they needed. Very gross.
I mean, I don't know. I've had worse meals in airports.
It's like so Jerry Seinfeld. I love that.
Cheesecloth and animal entrails. This must be a good meal for a Victorian. I mean, if you think about it, these seancers, they were actually incredibly special. I've been doing so much Seinfeld lore research and telling you, like, do you know how hard it was for Seinfeld to get picked up as a sitcom? And you're like, no one, it doesn't, it's over, it doesn't matter. But you know what does matter? Ectoplasm.
It does.
Yeah.
And how it kind of marks this little turn in the seances where they start to get a little bit sexy.
But Chelsey,
Yes, Sarah.
Victorians, I feel like we see Victorians as such a serious kind of sexually repressed people. I mean, could it possibly be that ghosts allowed them some sort of sexual outlet that they deeply needed? Oh no, Sarah.
That couldn't be it at all.
All right, never mind. Tell me what I did.
I'm the teacher. So there were seances that were a little more serious for people that really believed in what they were doing, and then there were some that were a little bit more like theater, or even burlesque at times. And for a lot of people it was entertainment more so than a religious movement, and the other way around as well. But as Sarah just said, sexiness was part of the appeal for a deeply repressed culture of the 18th century and early 19th century.
19th century.
Yes, I'm not the teacher. 19th, 20th, 19th, 20th.
We can just say 1800s. It's insane to be like the 19th century, by which I mean the 1800s. I mean,
Yeah, you gotta do a little math. Yeah, you're right.
I feel like a misconception about the Victorians is that they didn't know what sex was, which clearly can't have been possible because there were so many of them. But I think that, from what I understand, their sexual culture was yes to sex, but only if you're straight and married. And interestingly then, anything that you do outside of that just can't be sex. So it's fine. So you can kind of do whatever. It's not gay. It's a ghost.
It's not gay. It's a ghost.
What did these not gay ghosts get up to?
It's not gay. It's a ghost. We really do have to make that bumper sticker every little while. So, mediumship, being a medium, you could kind of do anything you wanted because it wasn't you, it was the spirit. So a woman medium might one night conjure the spirit of some haggard seaman. Because she could then chug from a bottle of brandy. She could start cursing. She could try to start a fight with a dude. She could act kind of sexy toward the lady.
She could sit like this.
Full man spread. So, for example, one night, a medium might decide 3. I need more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think we can get this even higher. I think we can really hit this. Okay, give me everything you've got, everybody. 1, 2.
Not sexy.
3.
Chelsey, you play a little trick.
I would love to explain to you how this table trick works.
Alright.
So, mediums had many different ways that they created a table levitation effect. Alright. Oh, thank you, Sarah. And everyone had their own trick, but this is one of the examples of what they did. All you have to do, screw in some hooks, and you do a little misdirect. You move your candles while hiding the hooks.
Expertly,
as we do. And just loop your little thumbs in there, and you can lift it right up. No problem. It's got to be a light table.
Look at
But
that.
that's all it takes. Yeah.
Chelsey, do you have any more tricks for that table? It seems like it's floating all by itself right now.
No, Sarah, that was all I had.
Okay, well, I think it's just the wind, and I just think, I feel like I'm seeing some things, but I'm not going to worry about it. I think I'm hungry, and I think I need to go get an IPA and possibly some American Hysteria merch.
It is
charge of the situation.
And let's just all remember that there are no ghosts and there are no witches either. Except feeling a little American hysterical right now.
Well, should we reflect on what just happened, or should we just stuff it down into a place we're never going to look at?
I'm not sure. I feel a little changed.
You seem a little changed. But you know what? It's let's ignore it. Okay. Oh boy. I'm not feeling too good, Chelsey.
Right. You are looking a little green.
I think I might have to. Cheesecloth.
It's a good one.
It's you.
It's a good one.
We're in control. We're in control of this. There's nothing beyond our power out there. It's just us.
It's just cheesecloth, muslin, animal organs. Cheesecloth, muslin, animal organs.
Yeah, and I mean, it feels bigger than talking about, religion or spirituality or superstition or whatever else. I think it's that if we try to cling to skepticism and logic and our sort of conscious brain as our only means of intelligence, then I think we're going to miss out on a lot. And I think that, I don't know, maybe part of my proof of that is that we've been trying to create a supernatural ritual, and we might have been slightly more successful than we thought, I'm now thinking. But what's available to all of us all the time, I think, is the truly magical and apparently not at all supernatural experience of just bringing a big group of people together and all singing a song.
I think it is one of the most magical things that we can do. It's even better than chanting together.
Yeah, and I think if we're talking about rituals at the end of the year and trying to let go of the things that are burdening us and creating that ritual for each other and with each other, then what better way to do it? And I guess there are ghosts, and I'm willing to say that. And Chelsey, now that we have met our ghost friends, what should they sing for us?
I think we should let the spirits decide.
Okay. I think they know what to do. Chelsey? Yeah, it's okay if you want more. Is there anything else?
I do think I want a little something more.
A little something.
Yeah.